We've seen plenty of technology companies perform really well over the last 12 months, and PayPal is no exception. If we go back to the March lows of 2020, the share price was trading around $84 a share, and we have seen it trade as high as $300 so far this year. So given that we've got earnings out on PayPal very soon, can it continue this sort of growth, or actually are some of its best moves behind it for now? I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at PayPal. I mean, clearly it's a company where their share price has done incredibly well over the last year. We had a very strange year with the coronavirus pandemic shutting down economies at various points through the year. But we did see a boom in online shopping. So if you're an online payments provider like PayPal, then a lift up in online shopping is only going to help the price. And you can see it here. You know, we've traded above 300 briefly in February this year, backed off it since then, trading at the moment at $250 a share. But that's still more than, about double where it was, I think, in May last year. So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at it. So what I'll do, I'll talk a bit about PayPal now, then we'll come back and look at things in a bit more detail from a technical analysis point of view. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought in our latest stocks video, we'll take a look at PayPal because they've got earnings coming out a bit later today. We've seen them sell off about 20% from their all-time high. So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at them and see what the next few months could hold. So as usual, in this video, I'll talk a bit about what's been happening recently with PayPal, what to look out for in the earnings. Then we'll jump onto the platform, look at things in more detail, and see where the opportunities might be from a technical analysis point of view, look at trends and big levels, all that sort of stuff. As usual, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel, and it means we can continue to push out lots of different content on all these stocks in the weeks and the months ahead. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at PayPal in a bit more detail. So I'm sure that PayPal is a company that plenty of us are familiar with, but just in case you're not, it's been around for a while, and it's an online payment system. That means you can pay businesses and individuals really all around the world. It came to the market as a publicly traded company in 2002, first of all. That was its initial IPO, its initial public offering. Then it was acquired by eBay, the online auction site, which again, I think that's perhaps how many of us found PayPal in the beginning from using eBay. But then pressure from eBay's investors and shareholders a bit later on in its history saw PayPal being spun off again as a separate company in its own right in 2015. So again, allowing us all to buy and sell shares in the business. So we're expecting earnings out later on for PayPal. Clearly we get the quarterly earnings updates. These are due out on May the 5th. And expectations are that this time round for the current quarter, PayPal's earnings will be around $1 per share. And if we go back and look at the earnings from the same period last year, then if they did come in at $1 this time round, that's 50% higher from where they were at the same quarter a year ago. So it's quite a big jump. Perhaps not surprisingly, because of the pandemic that the world has experienced over the last year, it's fair to say that online shopping has increased, and clearly as an online payments provider, that's something over the last 12 months that has helped PayPal's business. And we've seen it reflected in the share price. Again, if we wound the clock back a year ago to May 2020, the share price is almost bang on up 100% over the last 12-month period, clearly helped by all of these online purchases. It has dropped, though, over the last few months. We did see all-time highs hit in February for PayPal, up above $300 a share. We have seen them slip back since then, drop back by about 20% over the last few months. So I think the question is, given the clearly odd year that the world has been through, the positive impact for PayPal, has it gone too far? Can it keep up this level of share price growth? Let's take a look at the big levels to watch, then we'll come back, we'll jump on the platform and look at things in more detail. So I think when it comes to picking up levels, I've gone for a psychological level, 350. If it breaks out to fresh all-time highs again, I think we are sort of picking numbers out of the air. The immediate levels to watch, 309, that February all-time high. And before that, a resistance level it's rallied to and fallen away from on the way down is $270 a share. So there are some barriers to any upside growth there. But below where we are now is where it gets interesting. I think the March lows, 223, was an important short to medium term turning point so far. After that, looking down towards $200 a share to see if that provides support. But let's put some color on these numbers. Let's jump on the chart and have a look at things in a bit more detail. I thought let's start things off with a moving average. We've got a 20-day moving average on the price here. Moving averages are a classic trend following approach to markets. They work well in trends. They don't work so well when markets are just going sideways. But the typical way of looking for signals off a moving average, a move through the moving average is considered a buy signal when the price crosses up through the moving average. A move below the moving average, like we had here, is considered a sell signal. So with the market being, or with the PayPal share price being perhaps somewhat sideways over the last couple of months, we've got a bit of choppiness in the moving average, but the latest signal was a sell signal. Towards the end of April, we saw the price fall below the moving average, so that generates a sell signal. But I think there's a few things that contradict that, so let's take a look at them. Let's start things off with the RSI down here. Now, the last signal we had on the RSI, the relative strength index, I've got a 10-day RSI here. It went overbought in mid-April, which does tie up with those highs ahead of $280 a share. So it did a pretty good job there of calling at least a short-term top for the PayPal share price. Then we've got to go back to mid-March or early March. It doesn't quite go oversold, but it did end up calling an important low for the share price in PayPal. And I thought what's interesting with that signal, or not quite signal, from early March is we've had a similar sort of thing happen over the last couple of days in the PayPal share price on this 10-day RSI. So the RSI has pushed towards oversold. We haven't gone below 30% on the RSI, which is our oversold reading, but it has, for one day at least, turned higher. And I think it is interesting down here, the PayPal share price. Let's take things out and look at this trend in a bit more detail. So I've picked up on the lows from March last year when PayPal traded down to about $82 a share. Then, of course, we've seen the price rally, recover, move out to fresh all-time highs. And I think this uptrend line has done a pretty decent job of holding any weakness. You know, the textbook definition of an uptrend line, it sits below the lows. We've got higher lows. We need 3 touches for it to be a valid uptrend line. And I think we've got that. You know, if we pick up on the levels here, you can see various touches of that trend line. The most recent ones are interesting. From March of this year, came back to the trend line early March. Admittedly, in late March, we have dipped below that trend line, but I think what's interesting is it doesn't spend too much time there. You know, we see it trying to reclaim the trend fairly quickly after that. And that's sort of what's going on now. So I think at 250, 252 a share, it's interesting, PayPal, particularly with these earnings coming out, because we could see some volatility as they're announced. So I think many technical analysts would probably still take the view we have an uptrend in PayPal. Yes, it's come back to the trend line, but that trend overall is still up. And I think what's interesting for me, the idea of support, you know, previous levels being important in the past and the future. And we have seen this, I think, play out from those lows in January of this year ahead of 220. We've seen it again during March. The price dip down towards 220, market sentiment changes, and the price gets lifted back up. This whole 220 area also, I think, runs into last year, the September and October highs. So I think 220 will be a really interesting area to watch on PayPal to see, does it continue to be good support? Does it continue to stop any sell-offs in the price? And for now, I think it is providing support to that overall trend. Of course, we never know what's going to happen, but if the PayPal share price broke that support, traditionally that would be seen as a bearish signal. And I think we'd probably then be targeting those September, October prices around the 180 level. But for now, at least, 220 has been doing a pretty good job of holding the share price up. It will be interesting to see the market reaction when these earnings come out. Don't forget, even if companies meet expectations, we can still see a negative reaction from the market on earnings. So let's see how the earnings go for PayPal. Does it manage to reclaim this trend? And perhaps we'll come back to it in a few weeks' time, do an update and see if that uptrend is actually still going. That's it for the update in PayPal. We'll see how the earnings go, how the share price performs, and come back and do an update and look at it again in the future. So from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing and trading. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.